been trying to contain my excitement about this particular thing that we're going to talk about today for so long that it is ridiculous. Y'all, I have an entire playlist of videos that I made about my novel 90s Kids. Ever since I started this YouTube channel over 2 years ago, I have been documenting every step of my process for writing this book. I actually first really committed to YouTube about 2 months after I first started writing that novel in the fall of 2018, and there is just so much to announce. Today's video is one that I've been so excited for so long because it is finally time to reveal the cover for this book and for me to tell you guys about some of the amazing things that are happening with this cover. Like, my excitement is on the next level, and I hope to take you guys through this journey of excitement with me, so let's do it.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago.
You guys asked for it.
Hey, what's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savy, and welcome back to Savy Writes Books. On this channel, we talk about books and business because I am a small business owner. I run a company called Forever Home Friends that produces books, plushies, toys, and merch based on real rescue dogs and their journeys to adoption. So if that's something you're interested in, please check it out in the description below. And in addition to being a small business owner, I am an author. You guys may know that I currently have 9 books out. They're all linked in the description below. 5 of them are from the Forever Home Friends series, and the other 4 are some novels and my business book, Savvy Business Owner, and all of that. But this is going to be my first traditional publishing experience. Again, I'll link the playlist of 90s Kids up in the card so you guys can see all of the stuff about that. I won't rehash it all and take forever because the focus of today's video is all about the cover for the book, and I'm just really excited to share this joy with you guys. One of the most fun parts of having a traditional publishing contract and working with a publisher where, you know, they pay me royalties and take the upfront costs as opposed to the self-publishing process or the small business process where I take the financial risk and keep all of the royalties. You know, it's a different system. But one of the cool benefits of this is that I'm getting to work with a professional cover designer that is doing amazing work, and I don't have to pay for that, which, you know, is part of the whole traditional publishing appeal for a lot of authors. The cover design process for this has been amazing. I'm going to talk a little bit about the design process. I'm going to show you guys the cover. I'm going to talk about why I like working with a small press as opposed to a huge publishing like a Big 5 or now Big 4, I guess, publishing company. But I know what you guys are all here for, so without further ado, let's look at the cover. Here's the cover. Boom! Look at that cover. Look at that cover. Just look at the cover. I could talk all day about how gorgeous this cover is and everything I love about it and all of the elements that make this cover so amazing and the process that got the cover to be where it is. But before I even talk about that, let's talk about the amazing artist who designed this cover. So the artist who designed this cover's name is Eric Evanson. He is a fantastic artist. What's really cool about him and his background, guys, get ready for this. I've been holding this in. I've been wanting to spew this out at you for months. Eric Evanson, the designer of this cover, was the artist for the official Back to the Future comics. Like the officially licensed Back to the Future comics written by Bob Gale, the screenwriter of the movie Back to the Future. Y'all have seen my DeLorean tattoo. Y'all have seen all my model DeLoreans and Back to the Future toys back there. You guys know how I proposed to my husband on October 21st, 2015 because it is Back to the Future Day. I have been obsessed with this movie forever, and there are elements of this book that kind of reference Back to the Future because it is a time travel story and it is like a young adult teenager time travel type of story. We have a lot of references to the 80s and a lot of fun things like that. I've even like jokingly referred to it as lesbian Back to the Future because I just think that's a great elevator pitch. Savvy, what's your book about? Oh, it's just basically lesbian Back to the Future. Now everyone wants to read it, right? You want to read it, absolutely. When I found out that the cover designer, the person who designed the cover for this book, was an actual artist on officially licensed real life Back to the Future comics, which by the way, I've been collecting. Like I used to, before the pandemic, I would go out to the comic book store and look for the new Back to the Future comics that had come out. And it's just one of those amazing connections where it's like, whoa, and now we're working together. That's amazing, dude. That is amazing. So I've been so excited for this. Just let's look at that cover again. Let's look at that cover. Let's look at that color palette, that fun retro neon colors aesthetic. Let's look at those letters. Look at that lettering! Oh my god! So, a little bit about the process for the cover design. And I think this is what's fun about having worked with a small press as opposed to a huge publishing corporation, because I know a lot of the time in really big publishing companies, the author often doesn't have as much creative control or as much input because it's done on, you know, a bigger level. But working with a small press has been really fun because I was included on every single meeting with the cover designer. You know, after Eric, the cover designer, would complete a new version of the cover, he would send it along to Christine, who is my publisher. She is the owner of the company that's publishing this book. He would send it along to her, and then she would show it to me and say, Savy, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything that you don't like about this? Here's what I think. What are your opinions? She and I would discuss things, and she and I would get on a call with Eric, and the three of us would all discuss things. It really was an incredibly collaborative process, and this is what I've talked about all along of why I love working with small press. I mean, I even got my Shop Small shirt on, right? Like, you guys know this channel is just all about small business support all around, and I've loved being the small business owner and being the person producing the books and things like that. But when it does come to having the traditional publishing experience and working with a publisher as someone who is primarily the author as opposed to the publisher of the book, it's really cool to be working with a small press, with someone who you get to have that close connection. I feel like it combines a lot of the best elements of both the, you know, big five publishing world where, you know, you get the book deal and you get the royalties and you don't front any money. It's the traditional publishing model, right? It incorporates a lot of fun elements of that along with the fun elements of the self-publishing world, which is being part of the entire process from start to finish and having creative input on every step of the way. So I love this. I'm so joyful. You guys know how excited I am about this book. I mean, this book is probably my favorite book I've ever written. Now, to be fair, I feel like every time you write a new book, you want to have the next book be one of your favorites, right? Because you want to feel like you're constantly improving as a writer. So anyway, this process was just fantastic. What we did when we started was Christine set up a meeting with both me and Eric, and during that meeting, what I did to prepare for it was, you know, I combed through my manuscript and I went in and I found every place where there was a physical description of the main characters. I was like, okay, here's a section. I compiled it all in a Google Doc. So I'd go through the manuscript, highlight, copy and paste. Oh, here's a description of one of the main characters' hair color, hairstyle. Here's a description of another main character, what she likes to wear, things like that. So I would go through and compile those. And then on top of that, Christine and I worked on making a Pinterest board of book covers that had a similar feel, a lot of book covers that are popular in YA literature and specifically YA LGBT literature or YA sci-fi and things like that. We looked for a lot of covers that evoke that, and then also looked for covers that evoked like a retro feeling and had a little bit of like 90s and 80s color palettes and those kind of vibes. So we went and found a bunch of those. We gave Eric a Google Doc that included all of the characters' physical descriptions and all of the book cover ideas and things like that. And then we had a meeting with him where he reviewed that document. We went over it, and we all kind of talked about different positions that the characters could be in on the cover, or different layouts for the cover, different types of lettering. We all gave our input, and then he went off and did some sketches, which I will show here. He did a bunch of sketches, which were kind of the layouts, and he sent those back to us. So we all reviewed the sketches, and we were all instantly like, yes, this is the best cover. This is the best possible cover that could possibly exist. And so we went with then developing that into more of the final cover, in developing the colors, developing all the details and everything like that. The cover went through a few different versions with different types of color palettes used and different types of lettering and trying out different things and doing small tweaks along the way until we finally ended up with this absolutely beautiful cover that, like, I could not ask for anything more in this world. This cover is so beautiful, I want to cry. Like, I already made it my phone background. I actually made one of the earlier versions my phone background because I was just too impatient to wait for the final thing. But it's like, it's my phone background. I've been just like staring at it all day. I just like, Tyler would be like, Savy, it's time to walk Chewy. And I'm like, okay, but I'm busy staring at my book cover. And I'm like, okay, I'll stare at my book cover on my phone while we watch Chewy. I just cannot stop staring at it. It's so beautiful. His art of the characters is perfect. Even some of the things, like in the first couple drafts of the book, I never really described Nicole's clothing that clearly because, you know, Bex, out of the two main characters, she's the one who cares a lot more about fashion and style and things like that. Nicole is not as much into appearances. They have a few different priorities. So I never spent much time describing Nicole's clothing and what she liked to wear. And when I put the descriptions in there, Eric came back with the cover and basically said, well, I thought Nicole might be the type of character who would wear a sweater that looked like Wesley Crusher on Star Trek The Next Generation. And I was like, how did you, like, read my mind on that? I never said that or even thought of it, but that is perfect. Like, what you just said is absolutely perfect. Because she actually does have some similar qualities to him. I think actually in a much, much earlier draft, I had drawn a little comparison to him, even though she compares herself to Spock more often. But she's a huge Star Trek fan, and that wasn't even in the character description that I gave to him, but he just thought of that, and it was like, oh my god, that's brilliant, that's perfect. So it just seems like he got the characters instantly, he got the way that they look, all of that, it was just perfect. So these are what the characters look like canonically. I, as the author, are telling you, these are the characters, this is who they are. And I've just been so happy with how beautiful they turned out, with how beautiful the cover turned out, with how eye-catching it is. I feel like when somebody sees that, whether it's on a bookshelf or whether they're scrolling through Amazon or whatever, and they see that book cover, they're gonna be like, yes! Yes, I want that book! What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Another fun thing that is gonna happen is next week, for next week's Monday video, I am doing an interview with Eric, the cover designer. I thought that would be really fun to do a video interviewing my cover designer for my book, for my first traditionally published book and all of that, so that everyone could kind of get the cover design perspective. So a couple weeks ago on my Patreon page, I had posted for everyone who was on Patreon, I'm going to be doing an interview with my cover designer. If you have questions, let me know and I will ask him your questions. So thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. We recorded the interview a little while ago on Zoom, and I asked him the questions from Patreon supporters and then also questions that I wanted him to elaborate on for the audience in general. So I'm just really, really, really excited to share that interview with you guys and to give you guys a little insight into the cover designing process and things like that, because I think that that's an element of the author perspective that, I mean, it definitely is explored on AuthorTube, and there are a lot of people on AuthorTube who really spend a lot of time talking about each step of the process, including cover design, but I feel like it's a topic that's covered, you know, less than writing craft and things like that, and for good reason, because we're all here to be writers. But I think it's a fun element of the publishing journey that we can get a more in-depth look into, and I hope everyone enjoys. So that's all for today's video. Check out in the description below, I have all of my publisher's social media linked in the pinned comment right now. So in the pinned comment, Muse Media LLC, that is the name of my publisher's company. You know, follow all the social media, go ahead and take a look at that. There are going to be updates frequently posted as we continue on in the process of getting this book ready for publication. Stay tuned because there will be a Goodreads page going up soon where you guys will be able to add the book to your to-read lists, and I'll make sure to link that as well. I will be here announcing when pre-orders go up, because guys, this book I've just been working on for so long, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever written. I'm just so happy to be able to share it with all of you. So let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments below. Don't forget to follow everything. Don't forget to follow my second channel, Your Morning Guru, where RK and I tomorrow morning are going to be live at 8 a.m. Central like we are every weekday morning. We're living like Marie Kondo this week, so watch us clean things and ask what sparks joy. You know what sparks joy? This book cover. This book cover sparks the most joy. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you tomorrow morning. In the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses, including my small press publisher. Like all their social media. See you then. Bye, friends.